Dudes, what's happening? It's Trent. I'm back. And for Trent's Comment Corner, I'm just going to do one question today because it's a sensitive topic and there's a lot of variables to consider with this particular question. I should also preface this by saying that this is probably the most commonly asked question because it's the least commonly discussed issue with doing concept art or illustration as a job. There's many reasons for that, and we'll go into some of those. Anonymous V says, when you were starting as an artist back in the day, what mostly did the clients ask you to do? And what's your advice to a beginner artist and how you can get clients? Also, how much can you charge for the clients if you ever have one? Anonymous V, firstly, I'm gonna suggest that you probably got a bit of a road ahead of you, man. Because here's the thing: if you don't know many of these things, you have to learn a lot of them. And first things first, you got to learn the craft, brother. You got to learn your stuff. You got to know what you're doing. The more you know what you're doing, the more you get paid. We all hear stories about these guys that make $1,000 a day or more. And that's not really impossible. It's totally possible. I know dudes that make that much money doing concept art. Most of them are working in-house. Some of those guys do work from contract, from home. But how are they making crazy good money like that? Well, they know their stuff, man. You have to be an excellent communicator. You have to be extremely efficient. In other words, you have to be able to do in 3 hours what another artist would take a week or a week and a half to do. I'm not even kidding. That's totally possible. You have to use a lot of cheats. You have to use a lot of tricks. How does one go about doing that? How does one go about making that kind of cheddar? How does one go about making the big bucks in concept art? Well, the answer really lies in how talented, how skilled, and how professional you can be. If you're an excellent communicator that jams out 5 days worth of work in 1 day, brother, you don't have to worry about any of the issues that you just brought up. You can probably just say, hey, I only do characters if that's what you love doing the most, and that is what most people love doing the most. You can charge as much as you want, and you can probably work from anywhere that you want in the world if you're amazing. But the number of people who are actually that good are very, very few and far between, brother. So let's address the process. Let's address the step-by-step kind of stuff. Well, first of all, get some experience, bro. We talked a little bit about this in one of the previous videos. There are a number of ways that you can get some experience. Once you've got some experience, you get yourself that in-house job. Now, most people don't jump right into doing contract concept art. Some people do jump into doing contract illustration, for instance. In comic books, you could work for Marvel or other comic book studios. Those jobs are grueling and they take a lot of work. Different things to study, different things to learn in those two different types of jobs. You could do trading card art for games like Hearthstone or Magic the Gathering, that sort of a thing. Those companies pay anywhere from, good God, I've heard that some of those companies will pay $300 per illustration, and I've heard that some of them will pay a couple thousand per illustration. And some people, I'm sure there are some artists who get paid even more. Now imagine if you spend a week on a painting and you make $300, that's okay money. But if you can do a painting every day or 2 paintings a day that are of high quality, you're going to make a lot more money. Also, you'll probably charge more per card, actually. Or you just won't take those jobs that don't pay as well. I noticed that a lot of beginners don't want to take the steps to get to the glamorous part. They want to jump right into being the contract character designer on something like Overwatch who works from his island mansion in whatever paradise country that they want to live in. You gotta take steps. You gotta work your way up to that point. And where your starting point should be as a contractor, if you're going contract illustration, you should be expecting to make anywhere from $10 to $15 an hour if you can land a gig. If you're an absolute beginner, you should feel pretty grateful if you can land that kind of a gig, because your clients could always outsource to a foreign country where their currency is not worth as much, and they can get very hard-working, high-quality artwork for much cheaper than that. So your pricing should always be, what are you comfortable with that's competitive in the marketplace? You know, the more valuable you are, the more you get paid and the more opportunities come your way. So make yourself more valuable every single day by studying and growing and developing. If you're dead set on working from home and having clients, well, you're going to have a long, hard road ahead of you, because what you charge per hour is going to be directly based on your level of success in that field. So if you're just starting out as a conceptual designer, for instance, you really probably can't ask for much more money than minimum wage. In California, I think it's something like $10. I could be wrong about that. But I got to tell you, man, I mean, if I'm working with somebody, I worked with somebody a little while back who was $10 an hour, but they took a week to do something that could be done in a day or less, or a couple of hours. I don't even know what they were doing most of the time. Most people have that impression that artists just kind of kick back and we draw when inspiration hits and whatever. No, man. Let me run you through the process of how my art studio, Aquatic Moon, handles contracts. First of all, I only hire guys who know the pipeline. I only hire guys who know what they're doing. I know that these guys understand what orthographics are. I know that they're going to understand when I talk about doing cutaways and I ask for specific details in the construction of materials. I know that these guys are going to be able to switch art styles to whatever the project needs. I know that they're going to be able to adapt to the feedback from an art director without having an emotional hissy fit about things. I know that they're going to include tons of storytelling in their visual design language. I know that they're going to understand blocking out spaces and setting up a sense of 3D space and pathways and incorporate gameplay design into their designs. These guys are pros. They know their stuff because they've worked in-house at some point or another, or because they went to an FZD, or they studied this with other people. They have assets in other games. And I mean, that's kind of obvious. Like, the more valuable, the more useful what we contribute is to a client, the more valuable we are to a client. Therefore, they keep coming back to us, especially if we're reasonably priced. When somebody hires my team, I always think there's some guy on their team that really wishes that they could be designing this character. And I have to prove that we're a good option. We're a good choice for that art director to say, you know what, I know Timmy Jones, I'm sorry if there's a real Timmy Jones, I know you've been a concept artist on this project for 5 years, but sorry, we're working with Aquatic Moon just for this one character concept design. I think about Timmy Jones every single time I get a task. I think about that kid, and I think, I got to show that kid, I have to make that kid think, damn, I want to be at Aquatic Moon. I want to be at that level of what this outsourced team is delivering to us. That's the pressure that I put our team under every single time we get a task. So that means that every single morning we're delivering content to that client every single morning so that they can give us feedback, so we can make adjustments. They can tell us, hey, more like this, a little bit less like that. Hey, cut this part away. Hey, give us a turnaround of that. Hey, give us an alternate design there. We deliver this every single morning. My team is always working hard. We're very fast. We deliver very fast content, very high quality content, and we have an incredible reputation for being extremely reliable. And if you're not doing that, just know that we're out there taking those jobs away from you. So that's your competition. Being a contract concept artist doesn't mean you get to take it easy. It's not easier. It is not easier. Most of the time I'm doing 5 jobs and worrying about whether or not we're going to hit the mark that the client really needs. It's a lot of late nights. So there are just 2 more things that I want to cover real quick. One, if you're looking to just make a couple of bucks doing artwork, not necessarily going serious freelance, but just dabble in it, make a few extra bucks. I did do a video about this called literally How to Get Paid to Draw. It's mostly applicable if you live in the US. Sorry, I don't have a lot of tips for making extra money and living in other countries. I've never lived in another country. The second thing that I wanted to cover is that why is this such a big, hefty, seldom discussed issue? Because there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of people feeling maybe that why is this guy getting paid more than me, or I should be making that kind of money, or I want to live this rock star glamorous kind of a lifestyle. I want that, but why am I not getting that? And why is this other person getting it when I'm so much more deserving? There's a lot of I think, unhealthy things that spawn out of this. So I will say that the best answer I can give you on how much you can expect to get paid when you're starting out as a contract concept artist or a contract illustrator, you can't really expect to make any money if you're not good enough. But if you're just hearing crickets, you got to get better. You got to develop your skill set. If you do manage to get yourself some paying clients, it should hopefully be enough to just keep you going. Enough to keep you going, you know what, I think I can get better at this, I can grow this, and recognize that it's okay to be in a starter or beginner level, working your way up to Eagle Scout, so to speak, and you get a lot more benefits the higher you climb and the more you stick with it. So with that said, really ask yourself, how much do I need? How much do I need to get by? And how much do I really want to make this client happy if I really like working with this particular client? Some famous or well-established illustrators and artists make thousands of dollars a day, and some clients just say, sorry, we can't afford you, and that's okay. The artist doesn't need the money. They're making it somewhere else. There's a lot of demand. But most artists are feeling pretty lucky to scrape by. Some people may be very upset. I already anticipate a lot of thumbs downs for this one, just for the mere fact that I'm even discussing money, or even that I'm discussing some of these ideas. A lot of times people don't want to hear the reality that their amount that they're paid could possibly be based on how amazing they can be. But this is certainly like pretty much asking, how much can you get paid to be a quarterback? Well, you can be a high school quarterback and make nothing, or you could go to the pros and make an awful lot more. And really, it just boils down to your opportunities that become available to you, how hard you are working at it, and how passionate you are about it, how good of a communicator you become, how professional you become, and how good you become at doing that particular job. So let's say that you know your stuff. You've got experience. You've got the credibility to prove that you know your craft. How do you find clients? I never go out looking for clients. I don't actually apply. When I was starting out with doing contracting, I was just posting every day on ArtStation and art forums, artist forums. One of the things that I noticed is that a lot of artists just hang out on ArtStation. A lot of artists hang out on these forums that are designed for artists. And while that's great for critiquing your work and developing, when you get to a stage where you're looking for clients, you need to be in places where those people who actually can hire you are looking. So I found that a good resource is to be posting your artwork regularly on LinkedIn specifically, or Facebook, or Instagram. Post on there every single day, like as if that's your job. Just do the job even when you don't have a client, and then post it. In your posts on those channels, in those places, you should be showcasing really beautiful art that has really strong ideas. And you should know, if you're doing contract, you should know the process. Contract work doesn't mean that they train you or teach you anything, really. They just expect you to already know what you're doing. I also recommend that maybe you could apply specifically to art houses such as One Pixel Brush or Scribble Pad, I think is called, the James Pack Studio, or Aquatic Moon, even my studio. But again, you have to be at a certain skill level. You have to have some experience with this. You have to know what you're doing before any of these studios will even work with you. Because yes, I do teach my artists a lot, and I work very closely to build up their skill level, but they have to have foundational stuff. So one of the things also I would recommend is that there are a lot of indie authors on Kindle, for instance, who are desperately looking for artists who can be professional and can deliver beautiful covers for them. And if you become good at that, you can make a very good living doing contract for that. Another thing I want to recommend is that you don't necessarily need clients. If you're one of these hotshot artists that think you know better than what most of your clients actually think they want, maybe the better route for you is to go independent. Maybe the better route for you is to go, hey, I'm just going to make my own content for an audience. And that could be making your own comic books. That could be writing your own novels. That could be making your own indie games. That could be doing your own YouTube channel. There's a million these days, especially if you're like in your 20s or you're a teenager, like start a YouTube channel, man. You'll probably have 10 times more subscribers than me. Of course, making money doing indie comics, making money doing indie games, and making money on YouTube You want to ask how much you get paid to do that, and man, that's a whole different topic. But I can tell you what, that's a long, hard road. So it really boils down to the question of whether or not you're an entrepreneur or whether you're somebody who likes to have somebody tell you what job to do today and you make a very fixed amount of money. One of the things I wanted to mention is I did recently put together a project called the Trent's Legendary Photoshop Cheat Box, which is really designed around a lot of this particular topic. It's about speeding you up. It's about helping you to double your productivity so that you can make more money and have more free time, make your clients a lot happier. And because it's one of the biggest problems that I've seen people complain to me about, is that it just takes me too long to get to point B, where I want to be. And all those Photoshop cheats are designed to double your speed. So I want to encourage you to go check that out. I've been getting a lot of very positive response. So I want to encourage you guys to go and check that out if you're serious about this and you want to double your speed as a contract or as an artist, a digital artist working in Photoshop. Until next time, dudes, I want to thank you so much for stopping by. And of course, as usual, I'll catch you on Manyan Daban. Ciao.